goes on. But quietly, we've seen that. My point is, unlike Ray Horton, where Thanksgiving comes and you're going, man, I don't know what he was talking about, but they're getting worse as the season goes along. We are seeing that they play well together. There's still things they've got to work on. They've still got to prove they can stop the run to me, and they're still missing pieces. I mean, this is not a finished Super Bowl caliber team. Just because it's a team that's having some fun, winning some games, and maybe even could take a run, and you never know what can happen from week to week. But my point is there's still pieces to be filled. But we've seen them as they've grown together, and it's, usually the coaching staff tells you to wait because he's trying to buy time to keep his job for another month or whatever, but you are seeing them begin to play better together, and so that's something that I noticed the difference compared to last year, where instead of telling you, instead Ray Horton would fight you tooth and nail and go, no, our defense is actually way better than you think it is. We've got this and that and this, and you're going, really? You just gave up a 97-yard drive to end the game or whatever, but you got this and that and this going for you, huh? And I liked Ray Horton. I thought he was going to be a lot better here than he was last year, but obviously,
I did too, Derek. Sorry. And to build on what you're saying, the mannerisms are different this year. You don't have Quentin Groves making a 7-yard downfield tackle and then getting up and celebrating.
Quentin Groves.
Yeah, you don't have guys acting like it's a great play when you're 20 points down. Just 2 weeks ago, I believe it was Justin Houston, or Lamar Houston,
from the Giants. Yes, or the
for
Bears.
The Giants.
He got
for
the
Bears. For the Bears, he makes a sack. He's down
points.
21 or something.
Yeah,
and does a celebration after getting a sack. Bears are getting crushed. And what did he do? He tore his ACL?
Yeah, no, true story. Little Jerry and I were watching that game, and he sacks the quarterback. He jumps up, and he does the big Bill Goldberg pose, right? And I turned my head, and I looked at Jerry, and I go, don't ever do that when you're down 25 points, and all you did was got a sack. And he jumps and plants and goes down to the ground, and I said, see? That's why you don't do that stupid stuff right there. And he was done for the season. And I'm like, wow. It's almost like sometimes you can write the story and then sometimes karma writes itself and you just go, need I say more? Son, there you go. That's why you don't do that, because the football gods will come and they will make sure that you pay the price for that one, man. All right, so let's put it all down to it. I got some Beastie Boys in the background, because if the Browns want to party like they're one of the best teams in the league, they got to fight for it. This weekend, it's going to be a tough game. What do you think happens? Lay it on the table for me.
Hi, Jarek. When we first started talking about the schedule and we were going through our panel predictions as far as what they were going to do on the year, I said 6 to 7 wins, like you pointed out last week. I did not have the Browns beating Houston. However, my attitude's changed, especially with Mallett being a quarterback now, especially with the game being in Cleveland in cold weather. I'm taking the Browns this week, and I am going to take them convincingly at 23-17, but I think the Texans are going to get a late score to make it look close. I just like the matchup. I think if Foster plays and you can contain Arian Foster and kind of do that same way you did with Le'Veon Bell, there's not one player offensively that scares me on the Houston Texans. I will be down there on Sunday. I'll be representing the Sports Fix. I'll be representing WAKR, and I think the Browns are going to win. I think the Browns are going to be 7-3 at 4:15 on Sunday.
I'm with you. From your lips, there it goes. It's going to be a lot of fun watching it, and then you and I will catch up next week, and we will focus on the next, not only the next game, but the next segment of this season as Josh Gordon comes back next week, and perhaps Jordan Cameron, whether he plays this week, falls in next week. There's a lot of things going on, but we will see. Are the Browns 6-4? I'll tell you what, for those of you doing the whole playoff percentage thing, 7-3 through 10, the Browns would be, I think the teams that have been 7-3 through 10 games make the playoffs nearly 80% of the time. Teams that are 6-4 after 10 games, it drops down to 60%. I mean, you literally drop like 15% in your odds, and it starts to become a much more 50-50 scenario. So if you want to roll with the big dogs, man, go bark on Sunday. Take care of Houston, and let's be 7-3 when we come back on Monday. Ryan, let's have some fun this weekend watching it, and then you and I will catch up next week as we move forward with the Browns season.
Let's do it, J-Rock. Go Browns, and I will talk to you next week.
You got it. That's Ryan Ruiz of Dog Pound Nation. You can check out his articles on dogpoundnation.com, including his 3 dog bones to victory that he does every Friday here on The Fix. Guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll set the stage. A huge, busy weekend. Sports-wise, I'm on the road all weekend. Wrestling here, we'll talk about. I'm leaving as soon as we get done. Let's set the stage for the weekend. Don't go anywhere. Lots to get into. Final segment of the Sports Fix coming your way next. Don't go anywhere. Seriously, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. No, I'm serious. Stay there.
Listen. You gotta fight for your right to party.
And now, a very special announcement from the Sports Fix.
Black bears weigh between 200 and 500 pounds. Brown bears weigh between 300 and over 1,000 pounds. Black bears run away from you. Brown bears run at you. When attacked by a bear, simply lie still on the ground and cover your face and head with your hands. When the bear has finished batting you around and mauling you, contact the U.S. Forest Service.
And that was a message from the Sports Fix.
It's the Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
In baseball, miracles can happen when a team works together.
2 out, bottom of the 9th.
Down to their last strike.
The same is true in the fight against cancer. That's why MLB has teamed up with Stand Up to Cancer. Because we believe that when we all stand up together,
41,000 on their feet.
we can make cancer history.
Now everybody's standing.
What a buzz in this building.
This is beyond a dream. Stand up with MLB at standuptocancer.org.
Let's talk about the X's and O's of family entertainment. Every parent in Ohio knows the importance of being able to draw up an activity that'll get you out of the house for a couple of hours. But it needs to be affordable. It needs to be family-friendly. Above all, it needs to be fun. Now, let's talk about high school sports. Bang for your buck, school sports provide the perfect game plan for your family. You'll enjoy all of the drama and excitement competitive sports offer. You'll be supporting the future leaders of our community in a meaningful way. Best of all, you can take the entire family without breaking the bank. Heck, you won't even dent it. Now, enough chalk talk. Let's get out there and see what's playing at the high school in your community. School sports. Good for our kids, good for our community. This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Hi, this is Dean Chenoweth, head coach of Cleveland's Lake Erie Monsters, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix, final segment of the day. You heard Coach Chenoweth. They're just one of the teams kicking things off for this weekend. The Lake Erie Monsters, Adirondack at the Q. Tonight, 7 p.m. puck drop. Then they got the quick turnaround. We were talking to Doug Plagans about that yesterday. 1 p.m. tomorrow, the puck drops. Man, I got to tell you, man, that to me, that's like playing football at night and then coming back and playing it the next day. That's contact sports stuff there, man, and definitely hats off to those guys for that turnaround there. Monsters at the Q both days this weekend for those of you guys that are inclined to that thing. And speaking of hockey, I see Charles in the chat room mentioning the Jackets. Columbus still on that losing streak here, trying to snap it. They're on the road, Philadelphia tonight, tomorrow at home against the San Jose Sharks. So there's a couple of Jackets and Monsters games for those of you into the hockey deal here this weekend. A lot of hockey for you to get into. A lot of everything this weekend. The Buckeyes, Ohio State Buckeyes men's basketball team tipping things off tonight against University of Massachusetts Lowell. The Riverhawks and the Buckeyes getting things started 7 p.m. tonight at Value City Arena. They start the season ranked number 20th in the preseason polls. Let's see. I'll tell you, I think, it's a young team. There's a lot of room for growth. I don't expect any. I don't have any crazy season expectations, but I think it's going to be a fun season to watch those guys here and what they put together. We'll talk more about that here. Dan Wismar, when he comes on Monday, I'm sure we'll be talking about the first weekend here for Buckeyes Hoops. They play one here, then they're not back at it till Tuesday. So we'll talk Buckeyes Hoops and Buckeyes football because, of course, tomorrow, noon, Minnesota, and there, as I said, I don't know if you guys got a chance to see they had the chutes set up from the stands where they had to get the snow because you can't get it. How do you get it down from the stands when you're trying to clean it out? So they had to put up big long chutes from the upper deck down to the field so that they could get the snow down onto a level where then the plows could come in and take it and get it out of there. So they're cleaning house, trying to get that thing ready. That's gonna be interesting because Dan and I were talking about that. I mean, obviously, you're no longer, what's the old expression, a basketball game out in grass or whatever. We see this highfalutin Buckeyes offense can be slowed down a bit, but hey, they can run the ball too. And if that's the case, you just hand it to old Zeke Elliott a few times, 25, 30, 35 times, and get out of there. Minnesota, not the easiest out in the world, but shouldn't be the toughest either. Go out there and take care of business, Buckeyes, and add another top 25 victory here. Give them guys in the playoff polls something else to look at as we wait and see which of those top 4 teams falls out next. I see you guys in the chat room. Of course, if we're talking hoops, Cavaliers are playing. They're back at it tonight in Boston. Always fun. I love the Cavs and Celtics games anyways. I've always gotten into that a little bit. And LeBron, when he played for the Cavs before, and I think even when he was with Miami, I don't know exactly, but I'm pretty sure always one of the best teams he's played against statistically in his career has been Boston. They've always had that little bit of a rivalry there, and then of course they weren't too happy. They didn't have no problem making their comments, Pierce and Garnett and Rondo and those guys, when the big three went together in Miami. So you got some of that stuff going on too. It'd be interesting. And oh man, I see you. How about talking about basketball? A couple of things I wanted to bring up. The Sixers are just they may end up being the worst. I think they're trying just not to win a game at all. They didn't just lose last night, but they lost by like 50-plus points, 53. Unbelievable. Dallas just absolutely smacked them around, and they are, I know, 73-29 at the half. I mean, that's high school blowout stuff right there. That's practicing against the JV squad, and we sat through it here. Lots of other teams have gone through it. That is the thing that I cannot stand. While your Players Association wants to sit down and say we don't want salary caps and we're too lazy to play 82 games. We want to play less games and we don't want to give up money. While you're doing all that and drawing lines in the sand like we were talking about yesterday, do something about this. Do something about the fact that it doesn't matter what team it is. We could be talking about the Cavaliers, the Sixers. We could be talking about the Lakers. I mean, they're spending a whole lot of money to suck, but they're kind of doing the same thing. The strategy of today's NBA where you either have it or you don't. And if you don't, you strip it down as bare as possible and go for 3 or 4 or 5 years and then bring it back. And I mean, I remember sitting here, I've talked to Fred McLeod about this over and over, and everybody talks like it's just okay. It's just the way of the NBA that, well, that's how it goes. You willingly suffer for 5 years so that maybe you can get back to the promised land for 5 years. And I'm like, really? To me, that's a broken sport structure. And I'm not saying that what happens on the field or on the courts or whatever isn't good, because the NBA game is fun from time to time, but that's a broken structure. There's a lot of things messed up about that, and I expect those to be things that should be hashed out here when you start talking about who's going to draw lines in the sand for this, that, and the other thing, because I think that's just criminal. criminal to have that. I mean, you can say it's not because we're blatantly telling you up front, hey, man, we're not going to compete this year, blah, blah, blah. But I don't buy that either, man. I mean, to throw out teams that have no business even being out there on the floor. And we lived and died with it. That first season after LeBron, losing all of that 27-game streak. I mean, come on. For those of you that were there, I was there for every home game in that streak, man. I mean, it becomes repressed.